Welcome to the show. I'm Doug Johnson, and this is The Business of Life. During each show, we highlight a local personality who is willing to share with us their strategies for success. Today's guest is a really cool guy. He's a paramedic fireman. He is an entrepreneur. He is an Ironman. He runs marathons. And as I said, just a really cool guy. Reade, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Doug.
Happy to have you here. So, you and I recently connected after a number of years. And just our relationship has always been so enjoyable.
Right.
Your life to me is just amazing. You have done so many things and continue to do so many things. And one of the premises of your life, and I know this, is do it now because there's no guarantee for tomorrow.
Very true.
And when I watch your life, oh my gosh, that is so true. You work as a fireman and paramedic. You have your own business. You're a racer. Family is important to you, so you spend a lot of time with family. And it's like, oh my gosh, how does he do all that? So actually tell us what you do now, and what's the backstory? How did you get here?
Well, Doug, I'm still a fireman. I've been a fireman in the city of Cuyahoga Falls for 20 years. I'm looking forward to retirement, whatever that's considered. Been doing my window cleaning business for probably, we're going on probably 18 years, I think. We started in 2001, so it's been long. And, just to grow the kids. This all started years and years ago. My dad had a business for 45 years, Allen and Sons Window Cleaning, and Reade Allen over the years, because the kids grew up, the boys grew up and moved on, so he ended up doing it himself. Did the business for 45 years before he passed, and he was up in the Cleveland area. So when I started my business in 2001, it was in the Akron area, and that way we wouldn't compete.
I was going to say, there was a non-compete clause in there somewhere.
That's right. No compete. He did his thing. I did my thing. And life was grand. He was happy to see that I was able to continue what we had done for a long time. Since his passing, I have moved up into the Cleveland area, and I still do some of his clients that he's done for 40 years. So, it's an ever-evolving window thing. For the fire department, after I got out of the service, came back, there was an incident when I was in high school that my mother got sick. We had to call Kent Fire. Those guys were phenomenal, taking care of her. I was 16 then, and ever since then I wanted to be a fireman. So when I got out of the service and came back, my wife really pushed me to do that. I went back to work with Dad for a few years, but she really pushed and pushed. Thank goodness to her, she found my schooling, so I went through Hiram, and I did all my training through Hiram. Did a few years volunteer there. I went out and I was a full-time fireman and boardman for a year or so, and then I went to Cuyahoga Falls. So, it's been a very interesting time over the last 20, 25 years for me, but wouldn't change it for the world.
Well, and you had another business along in there too for a while.
We did. When I was as a fireman, we used to do, and some folks still do it now. It was firefighter challenges. So we would go around and do firefighter challenges. So I hooked up with a gentleman that sold sunglasses, and we were able to put names of fire departments on the sides of the sunglasses. And one of my big orders years ago was for Roosevelt High School. So we put Roosevelt on one side, Rough Riders on the other side, and they were the red and black for the school colors. So yeah, that was one of those just trying things.
Right.
And we did that for probably a year or two, and then we, you found that it was a little harder than you thought it was going to be, so you want to do something a little bit easier.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
selling and marketing yourself always is pretty tough.
It is always, yes. So you always got to find the right niche. And I feel I'm not a salesman per se. I don't like doing cold calls, that type of work. For the window business, our success is all word of mouth. And that's how we've grown over the years.
Well, and that's how we found you.
And that's how, we met up.
Just, so many compliments about what you do, how you do it, your personality, and here we are.
Right. And I think personality, it sells your business when you're talking that. It sells what you do in life, I think. That's why I think relationships are huge to me. And I have no problem with sitting and talking to a customer or a client half hour, whether it's before or after the job, doesn't matter to me. It's all about building that relationship, which is huge in my aspect of business success.
Well, and I'm suspecting that your dad did the same thing, because if he had all of these customers for years and now you've taken over some of them.
Sure.
Again, the relationships.
Right. And I think you're always taught by your parents. Obviously, we learn a lot. Dad's biggest thing is he loved to talk to the clients. So he'd go ring the doorbell and he'd talk while the boys did the job. So he would talk, get paid, and by the time he got paid, we were already at the next job, because there was enough of us that that was his job. It was building relationships so that in the winter months, he could still have work, and he still kept him so that he could raise his family. So yeah, I think relationships were huge. And like I said, as today, up in Lyndhurst, I'm still doing clients that we talk about Richard all the time, which is awesome to be able to share with them the same guy that you loved growing up, which is awesome.
That's really neat, yeah.
So it's that connection. Kim always says, my wife Kim, she always says, why do we continue to go up there? She goes, because it's not, you could be doing more other places. And I go, it's not that important. This is the history. These are the folks that have taken care of us for a long time. So I owe it not just to them, but I owe it to my dad to continue what he started with the folks.
And now do your kids work with you?
No, absolutely not. No.
And why is that, Reade?
Well, I don't want to say no. I shouldn't say that. They've all grown up to do their own thing. I always told the kids that I didn't want them to make their life's decisions on what I do. I don't want them to have to run my business if they choose not to after it comes to a point where I can't anymore. We all have our own goals and direction in life. So I said, just use that. You can help me anytime you want, but if you don't want to run the business or in the future, then by all means, my feelings aren't hurt. So they helped for many years. And my daughter still helps me on weekends. She lives in Kent. She still helps me on weekends when I work on Saturdays. My son worked when he came back from the service for about 1.5 years or so, but now he's moved on. He'll help when he's free, on his days off. So they will still help, but it's not an easy job as far as the window business. It's hard on your body. We've done a lot of things over the years between power washing and window cleaning and chandeliers and whole shebang. It just gets to a point where you go, okay, maybe I should focus on one thing or two things, because it's just not as hard. It's a lot harder than people think it is, and I love my kids. They're awesome, but they're your kids, and they never really want to work as hard as you want them to work. And I don't mean to say that bad. It's just it is what it is.
You're right. Yeah. Really.
So I have no problem with working hard, doing my thing. I've done it for a long time provide for my family. I thought that was important. So life's good for Reade and Kim.
Well, so I understand you took your first vacation together in
did.
31 years
We did.
this past year.
Yep.
How did that seem after 30 years of being with family, and must have felt totally different?
It was interesting. Over the years, we've always done stuff with the kids, and we try to integrate other portions of our family to go on trips. But as the kids get older, it's harder for the schedules to hit anymore. So we do holidays our holidays aren't on holidays, and so vacation is just it's hit or miss. So we've talked about this for a few years, and finally I said, let's go. And Kim goes, no, it's not going to be the same. And I go, we're still going to go. Well, let's go have fun, So we did our first trip down to Texas and Oklahoma. Spent 6 days down there, just her and I. And I think it's the most relaxed we've been in 31 years.
Well, and I know you had a good time. Did Kim have a good time?
Kim had a blast. Kim had a blast. She had just a few items that she was interested in. So I had to do my research to figure out what else we could do in these towns that we were going in. And it was stuff that we would have never really considered if we wouldn't have done the research, And you go, okay, I'm going to go for one thing. So we went down to Waco to go down and see Chip and Joanna Gaines area. And while we were down there, we went to the Dr. Pepper factory. Who would have thought? We went to see a live mammoth dig. Who would have thought that was even around?
Yeah.
So just some of the places that you stop, you go, we went to our first casino ever, and had a blast. Didn't spend any money, but that's okay. We still came out a winner.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah, if you didn't lose anything, that was great.
That's right. So she had a blast, and after that, we've talked, and we've already talked this year that I'm working the window schedule and the fire schedule so that we can do more weekend trips of just her and I, and just enjoy each other. Life is today, not tomorrow. So that's our big thing. Is I like to prepare for the future, but I like to live for today.
So, along with that, one of the quotes that I found about you that was on your Facebook page from a long time ago was, "Nothing is out of reach. In my mind, if you want it, go get it, all out, all of the time." How does that fit with your philosophy about don't wait for tomorrow, do it today?
I think it's important to the only person that in my mind that can't or that holds you back is yourself. So if you're all out all the time, go get it, then you only have yourself to convince that you can't, right? And I think can't is not a word, not in my vocabulary, because if you want it, you go get it, When I started marathon running years and years and years ago, it was because I wanted to beat my younger brother. And once I beat him, then it was, now what can I do? Let's go faster. Let's do more, So we did that. Kim, when I say we, my support group, she traveled with me all over the 13, 14 states that we run in.
Well, and my understanding is that you want to race in every one of the 50 states.
Yep, that's the goal. So we're at about 13 right now. So it was so that just started one thing after another. If you want to, go get it. It got to a point where I thought I was good enough. I tried 4 times to qualify for Boston, and I always come up a little bit short. So I finally qualified to run Boston Marathon in 2007. So we did that. So we made that trip. And we got done with that, and I said, hey, we've already done a marathon. Let's go longer. So I started doing Ironman training. And I did my first Ironman when I was 41 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And when folks ask me, what do you think? How was it? I go, most people think I'm crazy, but it was 12 hours of fun. I had a blast, Yeah, I was sore, but I had a great time. So it all goes back to, all out, all the time, go get it.
Well,
because the only person who can tell you no is you.
Right. So you've got that mindset that, yeah, I can do it.
Right.
Yeah, I need to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
You know, and I think the one downfall to that as a business guy is your mind says yes, I can, but the clock says no, you can't, because there's not enough hours in a day. In my mind, I got time for everything. I can fit everybody in. My wife will tell you otherwise, because the clock just doesn't allow for everything that I want to accomplish in that day or for business, you know. So it's an all never-ending compass to get things to work. And love her to death. We've been married 31 years. Kim runs my life, and I'm not afraid to say that. She tells me where and when, and I think without her, my business wouldn't be as successful as it is, because I didn't have enough time back in the beginning years to do windows, make calls, return emails, do the whole shebang. So it was a hit or miss for me. So she took over. I go to work. She handles everything else.
She tells you where
which
to
is
be
awesome.
when.
Well,
Yeah.
I should have done this a long time ago. Yeah. So yeah. So it's been, for us, it's just been an interesting time. And now that the kids are older, we have a granddaughter that's 6. Our life revolves around her, and our priorities change. So, you know, I'm not paying for college or anything anymore, which is good. So now everything focuses about Kim and I and about our granddaughter.
So it's kind of the evolution of your life, really.
That's correct. That's right. You know, and I think every day, I had our first Jehovah's Witnesses knock on our new house door for the first time. We've been in the house 2 years, and they said, "So how do you feel about life?" And I go, "You know, most people tell you they're optimists, they're pessimists, whatever." I go, "You know, my glass is 3/4 full, and it never goes below that." I said, "So
not half, but 3/4.
about 3/4. Always 3/4, because half is, to me, I mean, when you say half, that might be mediocre. I'm 3/4. I am very happy with the things that have gone on in my life. Thus, I can smile and joke and have a good time. And yeah, we all have our ups and downs, but today's a great day. And as long as I can get out of bed and go for a run or jump on the bike and do some type of a workout to keep the blood flowing, it's a win in my book. I can move on and complete my day."
Nice, nice. So you've given us all this stuff about, I think, your definition of success. Can you pull all that together into 1 or 2 sentences about your definition of success?
Happiness. I don't even need to say sentences. Happiness, family, job would be the top 3 priorities. Always be happy. I can always look at the positives, and other people see that in me, and I'm that kind of go-to person. Family is super important to me, so I'll bend over backwards. Even if you're not family, I'll still treat you as family, because it's that relationship thing, right? And you gotta like your job. You gotta love what you do. And I think those 3 things, you know, if you don't like your job, then your relationships suffer, your family time suffers, and you're not a happy person. So put those 3 things together. I think that's the circle
and
of
it must work,
success.
because I have never, ever seen you not having a smile on your face.
It's, you know, like I said, it's one of those things when I drive down the road and I'm in the truck by myself, I'm always thinking. When I'm out for a run, I'm always thinking. But, you know, we all have trials and tribulations. I don't want to dwell on them when I'm around a great company. So you just, hey, life is good, because there's a lot of other people that are worse off than me. You know, my life's not perfect, but I'm in a good spot, which is awesome.
So if that's your definition, let's talk about 3 strategies to get there.
Gotcha.
And you and I have talked about this, and the first one, and I think this is just great, and it is you. All 3 of these are you. Be genuine and show compassion.
Right.
Tell us about that.
I think if you go in and you want to put a facade on for somebody, you can only do that for so long, I think, because then the foundation begins to crack. I'm not afraid to share my stories with anyone. A lot of my clients know my life because we talk about the kids, we talk about our granddaughter, we talk about life, and they talk about their own. That's a point of success, is if I know Doug Johnson outside of windows and what goes on with his children, then that's a win for me, because then I can come see Doug and say, Doug, how's your son doing in wherever? And that's huge. That grows business. So you have to be genuine. And at the same time, when we see that a family member has passed, and they're not even clients, we've had clients that their parents have passed, we always send a card. Here's our condolences, sorry for your loss. Because that just grows that relationship, which we've talked about many times, to make it stronger. And that is, it's endless. It's not about money. It's not about anything. To me, and we can all make $1 million if we wanted to. I enjoy meeting people, and it's great to work and do our deal, but I think a relationship is way more important than any dollar amount that you can put on any part of life.
Okay. Number 2 is be honest and fair.
I think always being honest, and fair. There's no need to hide behind anything, And again, it all goes back to big time relationships. Is if I didn't want to have a relationship with you, and I was you were a window customer like you are, I could charge you an astronomical amount. Chances are you're not going to call me back. So I give you a fair price. I do a great. I think I do a great job.
Well,
I don't want to pat myself on the back.
Yeah, no, I'll pat you on the back.
So that's what grows your relationship. That's what grows your business, and it grows your success for being overall successful of life.
Okay. Number 3 is it's not always about money. Relationships are of the utmost importance and should be established and grown.
Like I said, I think that's very important. The relationships that I have with all my clients. Back when I first started, when we only had a couple hundred clients that I worked for, I knew one thing about them, about every person. So I could go and say, how was Susie today? Or how was basketball? Or how was dance? And that's huge, because that relationship just grows. And I've seen the kids grow up. It's kind of sad. I'm 49, but I've seen their kids grow up, and you go, man, they're graduating high school already, because we've been doing this for so long. But at the same time, I have, we were talking earlier about the client I had yesterday that was 89 years old, and her giving me tips of life, of, never say tomorrow. Do today, because you're not guaranteed for tomorrow. So, it's not always about money. I hear a lot of stories. Everybody says, Reade, raise your price, raise your price. No, it's not about that. I love building this relationship. I love building all my relationships, because to me, that gives me a lot more pleasure than the numbers or the financial part. I can go home and I can sleep at night and sleep well, knowing that my family is not just my wife and my 4 children and our granddaughter, or my brothers and sisters. My life encompasses most, if not all, of my window customers, because I know about them and they know about me. And at any time I can call and ask a doctor, hey, our granddaughter's sick. This is what she's doing. I give them my medical terms from being a paramedic. And they can say, oh, you call anytime. You should do this, this, and this. Or if you need to, they'll say, go to the emergency room. So, but that's all the relationships. So it's not all about the dollar figure. It's all about this right here, which is so important and awesome to me.
Well, and, I always enjoy being with you, because you're always, I mean, you're upbeat, you're quick. When I first mentioned to Kim that, I'd like you to do the show, and she said, Reade? Oh, I don't think he'd want to do this because, he's, kind of shy. And I said, are we talking about the same person?
It is funny.
And and here you are, obviously. And, you've disproven her theory.
Well, I do my one thing at home, but business, like I said, business is my thing. I enjoy doing it. I'm totally a different person when I'm at the firehouse. But when it comes to being at home, I'm definitely a true family man. And, it's all about building business, but it's also about taking care of people at the firehouse, outside the firehouse,
And again, it all comes back to that one word, relationships.
Relationships, absolutely, because that'll make or break you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reade, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
It has been just great having you on the show, and I'm sure our audience has gotten a lot out of the discussion.
Well, I hope so.
So
the smile is infectious, so
So
go out and enjoy life. That's the key.
There you go. Thank you, Reade.
My pleasure, Doug.
We had stopped to pick up several items at a local Mark's discount store. And as we came to the register, and the lines are pretty typically long there, there was a nice young man at the register and rang up our goods, came to $18.37. I handed him a $20 bill, and immediately he said, "Oh, your change is $1.67." without putting anything into the cash register. I was so astonished. How often does that happen? I congratulated the young man on being able to do that, and I said, that doesn't happen very often. Got this big grin, and he said, "Oh, I like to challenge my brain." Isn't that a great story?